The barbell overhead press is a classic time-tested movement. It is great for developing vertical pressing strength and shoulder growth. But I would argue that the seated version with a slightly lower incline is better for front delt growth.
Don't worry, let me explain.
See, these two exercises are actually slightly different. I know the muscles involved are the same, but if you look into the movements, you will realize that even though the movement patterns are similar, they aren't the same. Alex Leonidas or Alpha Destiny calls this movement the anterior deltoid press or the AD press, and rightfully so. Let me explain the exercise to you first. So the AD press is basically a seated barbell press done on an incline bench with the incline set slightly lower than the standard 90-degree one. So basically you will be doing a shoulder press on a 75 to 80 degree incline. The incline is really good for your front delt development because the range of motion of this movement will not only put your anterior delts through a greater stretch, but also make the pressing part of this movement much more smoother and stable, because you won't need to curve the bar over your head as you press anymore. The movement pattern is just a simple up and down motion in a straight line. Wait, that's not it. The back support on the incline bench will take your lower back and the rest of your lower body completely out of the equation. So the only limiting factors in this movement will be your pressing muscles, the ones you are actually trying to target with the exercise, which will in turn allow you to use heavier weights and push yourself even further. And no, the concept of getting more out of less weight doesn't apply in this scenario, because even though the standard OHP is harder despite the lighter loads, it is harder mainly due to the supporting musculatures being involved and the nature of the movement itself, not the actual target muscles. As Dr. Mike Israel says, for better muscle growth stimulus, we need to maximize the internal loads that a muscle goes through, which is basically the stress or the tension that your target muscle experiences during the lift. And this exercise does just that, while also increasing the absolute load, which is the weight on the barbell. The back support also eliminates cheating almost entirely, as you won't be able to use your legs to generate momentum, turning the movement into a push press. It checks every single thing that an exercise needs to have to be considered a good movement for hypertrophy. The movement is stable, it puts the target muscle through a decent range of motion with a deep stretch, has good loading potential, and is comfortable for your joints and tendons. Another argument that I see people using against the AD press is that your upper chest is also going to get involved due to the incline, which is true, but guess what? When you load a regular overhead press heavy enough, during the press you will lean back, which also makes the upper chest get involved. And we do this by instinct because biomechanically that's the strongest pressing position in that scenario anyways. And if you're worried about your core and other stabilizer muscles being less involved, then I actually can't argue with you, because the overhead press or the military press is actually more of a full body athletic movement. And if you're interested in Olympic weightlifting or strongman stuff, then obviously the regular overhead press will be much more specific to those sports. I won't use the term functional here because that single word can be slapped into any exercise provided the right context. For example, to me the AD press is more functional than the overhead press because I want to pick an exercise which makes my shoulders bigger, and the AD press or the anterior delt press serves that function a little bit more than the military press, hence making it more functional. If your goal is to just get bigger shoulders, then it's in your best interest to take the limiting factors out of the movement and make the movement as much stimulative for your front delts as possible. But at the end of the day, it all comes back to preference. If you like the overhead press and you are seeing good results in terms of shoulder growth from doing the overhead press itself, then there is nothing wrong in continuing to do that. I will still argue that the AD press is slightly better in terms of muscle growth and a lot better in terms of managing your full body stress or fatigue, but it still doesn't make it a must-do exercise, as there is no compulsory movement that you must do in the world of weightlifting. With that said, I'm signing out and I will see you in the next one.